Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard Price, the founder and CEO of academia.edu. I did my DPhil at Oxford in philosophy, and I remember getting to the end of my DPhil, and the culture in philosophy at the time was to put all your preprints and all your papers on a personal homepage. And I started to create a personal homepage and thought about all the friction associated with doing that. Learning HTML, FTPing files to a server, updating the page, and most personal homepages were last updated at date of several years ago. And it occurred to me to create a website where it was really easy to put your papers online and to create personal homepages. So I raised some venture capital from London, moved out of my college, All Souls College, where I was a fellow, and I had a 7-year fellowship there. I was 2 years in, and I decided to take 2 years out of that fellowship to start this company and see how it went. And if it didn't go well, I would go back and publish papers and become an academic. I did love philosophy after all. I moved out to San Francisco in late 2007 and launched the company in late 2008. I'm going to demo the site to you right now and show you how it works. Okay, so here's the home page. It's a news feed based on people I follow. I see papers that they're sharing, papers that they're bookmarking. Okay, so for example, Susanna Schellenberg. It's a bit blurry. She's a professor at Rutgers in philosophy. She bookmarked 3 papers. What that means is that she found a paper in her feed and she clicked bookmark, and that sends a message to all her followers saying that she bookmarked. It's a little like a retweet. You can click on a paper and read the paper right there. You can bookmark it. A product that we've just, it's in private beta right now, but I'll show it to you. It's quite exciting, is Sessions. So the way Sessions works is that you have a paper on the left-hand side of the screen, and as the author, so the author is right here. His name is Alan. He's a professor at Tilburg University in philosophy. A session is a private discussion of a document. So the paper appears on the left, and you can write inline comments like that. The comments appear on the right, and they're attached to parts of the paper, all annotations. The session lasts 20 days. In this case, there are about 60 people in the session. They're all the colleagues of Alan that he has invited to the session. In this particular case, there's 1 day left to comment. We put a time limit on it because we modeled this product on a conference session like this, presenting a paper and having questions come in a limited time frame from people you know. And in this case, there's just lots and lots of commentary. And the threads go on and on and on. Another key aspect of the site that people use a lot, and I'm going to be talking a bit about this, is analytics. You can see where traffic is coming from. You can see what countries are sending you traffic and what your biggest country is. Mine is the United States. I can click on that and see that my biggest city is San Francisco, and then all the cities in the United States that send me traffic. I can see all the countries that are sending me traffic globally, like China and Russian Federation. I can go right down and find that Nigeria sent me 1 visitor in the last 30 days. So did Somalia. It's quite intriguing that I wrote a PhD in the philosophy of perception and that people are clicking on it from the Lebanon and Montenegro. People use these analytics in various ways, which I'm going to talk about. Most of the documents people upload are papers, but there are other kinds of documents we support and encourage, like code. So this is a case of someone uploading and actually embedding code, GitHub code on his page. And we also support kind of embedding videos and so on. Okay, so the uptake, you've sort of seen this roughly. This is our user graph for just past 20 million users. As David points out, adding over 1 million users a month. Our monthly uniques, we do about 35 plus million monthly uniques, people visiting the site. That's more than our user number because all the content's accessible to people who are not logged in. The surveys people have discussed at some length. Different surveys say different things. I thought because people have heard about the Nature one, I should highlight a different one that Deborah Lupton at the University of Canberra did last year. She surveyed a bunch of academics in every field, sciences, social sciences, humanities, and found that 49% use academia and 33% use ResearchGate. Horses for courses, different surveys say different things. I'm going to be talking about different use cases. So one of them is indicators of traction. Citations are a very slow feedback loop, but view counts are a much faster feedback loop. So for example, Jorge Castillo-Kwan is a postdoc who studies the biology of aging at UCL. He wrote this paper a couple of years ago studying the interaction of insulin and cortisol on brain function. And people didn't really pick it up at the time. And then now he's noticed that it's in fact his most viewed paper and there's renewed interest, and he's decided to refocus his research in that direction. He said, in his words, he says, it seems that according to the view counts I'm seeing in academia, I should be thinking about this topic again. It seems that other people are interested in this, and it's made me reconsider going back to this paper and exploring it again. Abhinav Gaikwad is a postdoc in electrical engineering at Berkeley. He had two areas of research that he was exploring and wondering which one of those he should double down on. One of them was flexible batteries, two-dimensional batteries, and the other one was to do with zinc anodes. And he noticed that the papers, he was a very early career academic, he noticed that the papers on flexible two-dimensional batteries were getting way more traction in terms of view counts, and that influenced his decision to focus on his future career on that topic. Shirzad Malikpour is a postdoc at University of Wisconsin-Madison. He wrote into us the other day saying something interesting. He said, motivated by turbulent markets in 2008 and 2009, we've been trying to develop stock trading algorithms using tools from control engineering. Since this line of research is relatively new, our challenge has been to draw researchers' attention to this approach. More specifically, we've been trying to attract engineers, but also people from finance. The view counts on academia have helped us give a confidence in this research direction and guide our focus. So the next use case is opportunities. This is an interesting case. Yavor Shopov is a professor of physics in the University of Sofia in Bulgaria. Head of the department. He emailed us to say that National Geographic had got in touch with him via academia and had been interested in one of his papers, and they ended up doing a documentary based on that paper, which was called The Great Flood in the Ancient X-Files series that just came out. Paul Bowman is a professor at Cardiff University and a director from New York. Got in touch with Paul via academia and invited him to fly out to New York City to play a prominent role in this documentary, I'm Bruce Lee. And Paul wrote, because of academia.edu, my work has reached many more people than it otherwise would. This has had fringe benefits for me, of course. I've been invited all over the world to talk, been translated into other languages, and been flown to New York City to be in a film about Bruce Lee, all because I shared my work on academia.edu. Another use case is open access, free access to papers. We have a number of users from developing countries. This is a professor from Nairobi University called Kahiu Ngugi. He writes, access to papers is very problematic. Universities don't subscribe to journals at all. I can't access most of the papers from prestigious journals like Nature. I'm very happy when I see academia.edu. I see articles that I would never have been able to get here in Nairobi. A professor from a different department in Nairobi, John Adwalk, a professor of surgery, said, access is really difficult. You have to find your own way. You go to PubMed to see the abstracts. Then you try to trace how to get the full paper. Everyone does it their way. It's not easy via the databases because of the subscriptions. You use the internet to get free papers. When looking for materials, it does help to go through academia. It does not have everything, but it does help. On the side of America, for example, Michael Shea is a professor of urology at Stanford University. He uploaded all his papers to Academia Review because he studies infectious diseases that affect primarily the developing world, and he thought it was of critical importance that people in these affected countries have access to his research. And he wrote, "Institutions in these countries can't afford expensive journal subscriptions, so the accessibility of our work is key. Sites like Academia help promote and facilitate that kind of access." Another theme is citations. This is something we hear about all the time. People get more exposure for their research. As you saw, a paper on Mark's slide had 20,000 views. That is an outlier, but nonetheless, people do get more exposure on this platform from the 35 million people who visit the site. And some of that exposure just inevitably leads to citations. Pramod Kumar is a laser scientist studying laser optics at University of Cork. He wrote, "I uploaded my first research article in Academia, and then I found that a lot of people started sharing my research. People were reading my research, and my citations tremendously increased." Richard Kahn is a professor at Antioch University. He estimates that Academia's increased citations by over 30%. That's it.